Alright guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. Quick discussion video on the Sony Xperia 10. This is one of my daily drivers. And I had some things about it that I wanted to talk about in this video. I'm going to point out 10 things, good or bad, great, not so great, likes, dislikes, view it any way you want to, but just kind of hear me out and give your opinion. If you have this phone, I really would like to hear from you. Those are the people I really like to talk to that actually have the same products in me, and to see if they feel the same. Or you know, see if they feel, you know, indifferent about it, you know. So first things first, let's talk about this screen. So this is one of the positives that I think this phone is doing very well. The display is absolutely beautiful in my opinion, and when you're watching content on it, let me get something to watch here. Let's see, let's just look at this case thing here. So when you're watching content on this display here, I actually like how it looks in this full screen display mode right here. When it's out, it's like this, you know, it's large black bars on there, but you can see how much this actually feels nearly all the way to the border, and it just has this part over here. I don't even notice it. This is a beautiful 6-inch display in my opinion. Colors are punchy and vibrant, and I think the display tech behind this design was really good. So that's another thing I want to talk about, design. So the design of this phone is elongated. It's a very long phone, and this is the new aspect ratio. The 21:9 aspect ratio is something that they're going for, and I think it's gonna be a hit amongst people who can get it in their hands. There are a lot of non-believers out there that think they wouldn't like this design. I, in fact, was a person who did not like the 18:9 ratio. If you rewind back, you remember I did not like the 18:9 ratio when Samsung switched to it, and I was very disappointed. However, over time, it grew on me, and I thought, wow, this is pretty nice to have something in your hand like this that's easy to hold, you know? I really enjoy the fingerprint reader on the side here. It is a little of a problem for a lefty. If you're a left-handed person, you're gonna have to use this finger right here, and it could be kind of annoying, you know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, it is something, the design of this phone to me is going in the right direction. I would love to have phones like this with all screen like this with a long design, because it's much easier to use with one hand. And trust me, again, those non-believers who've never owned a phone like this, sometimes, you know, playing with the phone in a store is definitely okay. So nothing wrong with that, getting a feel for it. But when you take it home and you use it for 3 weeks, a month, then you'll be able to determine whether or not you like the way it feels in your hand. And this design to me is going in the right direction. Hands down, I love it. So next thing, another positive, those are two things. The third thing is definitely the battery. Now the battery on this thing is really good. So I get tons of days. I get 2 days out of this thing sometimes with light usage, which probably like 3 to 5 hours of screen on time. On a heavy day, let me see where I'm at right now. So I've got 3 hours and 34 minutes, and it's been 18 hours since I charged it. And look at what it's saying I have left. It says I have a day left, but obviously I don't have a day left. If I were to put it into like some power saving mode, I might have a day. But it's saying just on regular usage, I've got 35%. It's going to give me over a day. Now, really, I'm going to get probably another 8 hours, maybe 10 hours, possibly. Not, I don't think I'll be able to get 24. However, I can grab almost 7 hours of screen on time on a heavier day, and that's more like 23 and a half, 26 hours or something like that. I've pushed it to the limits. And the battery on this thing is fantastic. It is really good. It's very efficient. The way the combination of this is all set up, I really enjoy it. Now, battery is always subjective. Remember saying it's going to depend on the user, so don't think too hard about that. This is my battery usage. We all have different apps on our phones, so you just keep that in mind when you're determining what you think battery is going to be like. But I can tell you that in most cases, you should get pretty decent battery out of this phone for sure. So the next thing is the software. It's stock Android. Sony puts a little bit of, and I'm not going to call it bloatware, because this is stuff that I actually use, like the movie creator. You know, I don't do the PlayStation thing right there, but I just left it. The AR, I mess around with that sometimes. I like that it has an album. Some people don't like having like two, like you'll have the Google version of photos or whatever. I personally like a phone that has its own album. because normally in most cases it's something special about it. This album, I'm not going to open it up because there's a bunch of personal photos of, you know, family and grandkids and stuff like that in there, but it has a different layout, which I really like, and I think Sony's layout is really easy to understand. I really like it. It's not too technical. It's very simple, just like that. So another positive, and this is a fifth positive, is the cameras. You know, the cameras take really, really good photos. And let me pull up some photos here. Let's see here. I'm gonna grab a photo. Let's see. And I did night photo. I do a lot of night photos, but the camera at night really shines through, man. And the low light that this phone can produce is just unbelievable, man. I really enjoy the photos and footage that I get from this camera in low light. Now, in obviously in higher light, I'm gonna get some great photos too, but you know, you kind of look at that detail on the tire there. It's really shining, and you know, I got the right angle and footage and light that I really wanted at the time. So the camera on here, on the rear and the front, is really decent too. The cameras on here, they're impressive to me, enough to where I could definitely use this for low light shots. And again, in that footage that you saw there, a buddy of mine has an iPhone. I've told this story in another video. He has an iPhone, and his pictures were completely black. Even though it was light out there, he just couldn't pick it up. So I had to take photos for both of us and send him copies of what I took, or just let him take the phone and take the angles that he wanted. And that's just a part of the game. I think Sony does a great job with their cameras. And remember, this is the Sony Xperia 10, technically the lowest model of them all. And there's the 10 Plus, and there's the Xperia 1, which is coming later on. Depending on when you watch this, I have it. If I don't have it yet, that means it's not out yet. I'm really looking forward to that phone for sure. But that's, you know, those are 5 things about this phone that I think are high points. Now let me get into some things that you might think is a downside, or some might think is a downside. Being most objective as possible, and I've said this in another video, the processor inside of here, I wish they would have gone with a different processor, because this processor inside of here, I believe it's a 630, and it's not that it's a bad processor, but every now and then there's that occasional lag that happens, and this can happen to any phone. But the fact that this is stock Android, I solely blame it on I'm pointing the finger at the processor, because I've got other phones with the 625, the 636, and they actually run a little bit better. The 632 is absolutely amazing. Yeah, it is just fantastic. So the processor inside of here, I think they should have gone with a different processor. It's not the speediest processor, you know, it's just something that, you know, it can handle 4K, obviously. It does shoot 4K. You can shoot 4K footage with this processor, but it's just that from a performance standpoint, and that's the next thing, it's kind of a negative. From a performance standpoint, it's not where it should be for this beautiful, awesome package here. In my opinion, the performance on here is lacking a little bit. And I've had this phone for a while, since launch, and it's just not where it should be, you know, and that's why I'm kind of hyped about the Xperia 1. I'm not hyped about the Xperia 10 Plus, because that's too close to this phone. You know, I don't want 2 of the same phone. I've said it before, which meaning size-wise for the Xperia 1, because I wouldn't keep the 1 if I had the 10 Plus, which is why I went for this one, because I wanted to see how big this actually would be. And this is a pretty big phone for it to, you know, be a 6-inch display. I mean, for some comparison, off topic here real quick, here is the OnePlus 6T. And you can see how tall this phone is and has a much smaller display. So, that being said though, performance is something that I think is lacking. Now, another negative that you guys have called out, and I'm not saying these are my negatives, this in general, I understand your point of view, and so I wanted to put it to light. This is a long phone. This is a long phone. It's no getting around it, folks. It's a very long phone. And here it is next to the Pixel 3. You can see how long it really is. I mean, consider this has a 5.5-inch display, and this has a 6-inch display. But that longness of the phone, some of you guys might not like it. Now, personally, I enjoy it. It is different, and I like change. And so, you know, that's how it's going to be for me. I'm going to continue to use this as one of my dailies. It's actually my main phone right now, actually. But yeah, the design of the phone, how long it is, this is, you know, this is something that people have cried out about they just don't like. Personally, it doesn't bother me that much at all. Now, the next thing is the innovation behind these 3 new phones that they brought out. This is the Xperia 10, you have the Xperia 10 Plus, and you have the Xperia 1. This direction of innovation is going to be a tough sell for a lot of people. People are going to say, that is a long phone. They're gonna eat it up. It's gonna be hard for people to adapt. Now again, I'm not saying I think that these are good or bad, or these are bad negatives that some of you guys have called out. I kind of agree with some of these. This is why I'm pointing them out. It's gonna be hard to get people to adapt. Now imagine if this phone was on carriers, how hard it would be for a salesperson to convince a person to get this phone over something else in the same price range. Now, if you sell it from an innovation standpoint, like this is the direction of the industry, yada, 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 you might obviously get people to get on board, and then you show them the phone and demonstrate the phone. It's a good look. It's a good look. I think the innovation is going in the right direction. A lot of you guys who watch my videos on this phone don't think so. So that's why I'm pointing it out. Leave a comment down below. I mean, I really encourage you to, if you can get this phone on sale, to buy it. I think you'll really enjoy it. My negatives or things that I pointed out, you might say, oh, Jay, I think it's flying along perfectly. I could have a rogue app or something on here that's making my performance bad at times. Now, speaking of which, buying it, price. Price is something that you guys really disagree with on this phone. And, I even told you that I think it should be about $299. It should be running about $299 because it was actually on sale at Best Buy for $249 if you activate it. You just buy a $50 activation kit with prepaid cricket or something like that, and you can get it for $299 out the door with taxes. But it's $349 for this model, and the Plus model I believe is $430, I believe, and the Xperia 1 is going to be, supposedly it's on Amazon right now for $999. I saw that, and but the release date is what I'm concerned about. Not that it shows December 31st on Amazon, that Sony isn't bringing any kind of release dates. And some of you guys, I reached out on Twitter and posted places, and some of you guys said, oh, Jay, it comes out in May. Oh, Jay, it comes out in June. Well, that's not good enough for me to swipe my card for $1,000 and then just wait and guess when it's going to come. So Sony needs to bring it. But price is where this phone falls a little short compared to its competition, because there is a lot of competition. Some main competition that it has is the Moto G7. And the Moto G7 is offering, Type-C. It's got a headphone jack. It's got better cameras, kind of, sort of. It wins in the camera department sometimes for me. The screen is the 18:9 ratio, compared to the 21:9. It's a bigger phone. The design, people might say, is better. Lots of things. There's plenty of reasons why a person wouldn't want to spend $350 on this phone. But it's up to you. So that was 5 and 5 of some things that I pointed out that I've been observing over the time of having this phone. These things could change. A software update can fix the performance. Anything can happen. And I will give Sony this. When I talked about positives on their software, they do update their phones quickly. In my experience, when it comes, I shouldn't say quickly, they're on top of it. Like, you don't have to worry about it, because if you don't have to keep checking, if you go to the software settings for updates, it'll tell you it's up to date, and you also get an email from Sony if you miss it saying, hey, it's time to update your phone. So I really like that. It's your man Jay. 5 and 5, that's 10 things, pros and cons, likes, dislikes, negatives, positives, however you want to see it. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. It's your man Jay. I'm out.